I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Friday, February 3rd, 2023. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Earlier this week, we gave you Nick Walker's top 4 predictions for the upcoming Arnold Classic. And based on some of the comments that we saw, it looked like him slotting Sean Clarita in the runner-up spot sparked a little bit of debate. But regardless of which side of the fence you fall on when it comes to Sean, one thing that you can't deny is that this guy is pouring 100% of everything that he's got into this prep. If we take Nick out of the equation for a second and you make a solid argument for Sean being the most complete and the best conditioned athlete on the entire roster, those two things alone should be enough to garner him some more consideration as a legitimate top 2 threat. So if he brings an improved version of what we saw on the Olympia stage back in December, Nick might be right. Sean could easily end up sliding into the number 2 spot in Columbus. We have another 212 update courtesy of Kerith Baggio, who looks like he's starting to hit his stride now that he's getting into the heart of his off-season program. When you look at the landscape of the division right now, Kerith is in a really interesting spot, because he's right on the cusp of elevating himself into the upper tier of the 212 division, which would put him in contention for a spot in the first call-out at the Olympia. It's also worth noting that he's won at least one show in each of the last 2 years, so securing another qualification this year under the new rules should be well within reach, not to mention the fact that his ability to keep rounding out his physique without having to sacrifice conditioning is a huge advantage, because that definitely isn't the case for the majority of the guys in the 212 division. So if he just sticks to what got him there in the first place and doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, when it's all said and done, this could be another career year for Kerith. So let's just say hypothetically that Kerith puts together the best offseason of his career, and he rolls into the start of the contest season all geared up and ready to go. In this scenario, do you think it's enough for him to leapfrog a guy like Keon Pearson? Keon finished 1 place ahead of Kerith at the Olympia, and according to our sources close to Keon's camp, he's got the focused meter cranked all the way up right now. For all intents and purposes, 2022 was a career year for Keon, and even though the predictions about him being ready to challenge for the 212 title were a little premature, the truth of the matter is that he put together a couple of big-time performances last season. And right now, his ceiling is still as high as anyone else's in the division. So if he takes another step in the right direction this year, he might not need to worry about being leapfrogged, because he'll be the one jumping up on the scorecards. And before we sign off today, if you're a 212 fan, this one might be worth keeping an eye on as we get deeper into the season, because it looks like there might be a slim chance that we see Seth Feroce back in action at some point later this season. Over the last few weeks, Seth has posted a handful of updates where he's dropped a few subtle hints about the possibility of stepping back onto a pro stage for the first time in almost a decade. Now, if you're a newer bodybuilding fan, you probably haven't even been around long enough to have seen Seth when he was at the peak of his powers. So I'm going to encourage you to do some Googling, because there was a period of time when Seth Feroce was one of the hottest stocks in the industry. And in a division like the 212, which doesn't have the same big personalities that we see in the open class and classic physique, if someone with the charisma and energy of Seth Feroce starts to pick up some steam, it's a good thing for everyone, because all boats ultimately rise with the tide. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.